Our kind of model that we started with was a free clinic in Sauk City, and they started in a church banquet room. They just put out a table and a chair, and he brought his doctor bag, and it showed us that you could make a clinic out of any space.
The weekend before, nothing was finished, and the walls weren't painted, and it was still drywall, and some of it wasn't even taped, and I was saying, oh, we can't open. And Aaron Dunn, who I'm sure you have talked to and you know this about him, is just the other way. He thinks you can do anything, and so you just go ahead and do it. And he said, sure, we can open. And he said, just if anybody's got any paint or a ladder or anything, come on in this weekend and we'll just finish it up, which we did.
And we set out a few chairs in the hallway, and next thing you know, we were open for business.
We're fully staffed. We had all 12 positions staffed and open and ready for patients, and the one patient came in.
Pretty meager start, but we had a good core of volunteers, and after a couple clinic nights, people started to catch on and started to feel comfortable coming to see us, and we've been busy ever since.
Upstairs we had about 500 square feet. In that 500 square feet were 2 exam rooms, very small. One of them was so small that you really couldn't take a second person in with you. It was just a doctor and a nurse and a patient. That was full capacity. Our lab was a chair and like a cookie tray on a stand. That's about all we had for that.
We were able to connect with the community health center out of Madison and collaborate with them so they could offer dental care, and we were able to use some funds that they had access to build out the basement of the Metro Arts building that we were in, and we were able to turn it into a real looking clinic.
But we had such tremendous community support in building, and then of course we had the great move. We kept saying for months when we were upstairs, can't wait till we get downstairs so we don't have to work with this space.
So we've got 4 exam rooms now that look like a real clinic. We've got a pharmacy. We've got a room for some of our social care volunteers to help people with other socioeconomic issues. We've got, a conference room where people can work with an interpreter or work with a counselor, work with a physical therapist.
Our patients, when they first started coming in here, they would look in an exam room and they would say, well, this looks like a real clinic. And we would say, well, it is. It always has been a real clinic. We have over 2,000 patients, and now some of them we've only seen once or twice, but a huge number of them are ongoing.
This will be our busiest year to date. With the economy the way it is, people are losing their jobs. And when they lose their jobs, they lose their health insurance. While the majority of our patients are from Iowa County, we are seeing patients driving from all the way south as Shullsburg, all the way west as Dubuque, north near Richland Center, and we're even seeing patients coming out from Madison. They're coming to us for their annual physical, for refilling their chronic medications, their insulin, their blood pressure meds, their heart meds, their asthma meds.
We have diabetic patients, we have those with respiration problems, heart problems, and so on, and we do see them, over the years in some cases.
It's turned into a long-term process where we're starting to build relationships, sustainable relationships with our patients, because the times have dictated that people have needed us for longer than we've anticipated.
Our clients have just as much right to have access to quality medical care as someone that has insurance that goes up to the Dean Clinic. So they're not charity. They're just like you and I, and they could be. That could be me and my family tomorrow. So
there's a lot of good people in in this area that are maybe embarrassed that they don't have insurance or they don't have the money. You know what I mean? And if people could help them in a way that didn't make them feel belittled or whatever, and that's kind of what they do. You know what I mean? When you walk into the free clinic over there, you're treated the same, if you walk in old clothes or if you walked in as a millionaire or something, you know what I mean? That's the way it should be. People are people, you know what I mean? Everyone should be equal.
Yo tenía muchos dolores en mis rodillas y dolor en mi espalda y en mis manos. Mucho dolor.
I had a lot of pain in my knees, in my back, also in my hands.
I've seen the doctor. They checked me out really thoroughly and took their time, and I was probably in the office there for at least a half an hour, you know what I mean? And gave me what prescriptions I needed and sent me on my way, and I was pretty impressed. It went pretty good.
I am rarely sick. I rarely get a cold. And that night I felt something on my lungs. John took me to the emergency room and they did the chest x-ray. They said, yeah, looks like you got pneumonia. Well, they gave me an antibiotic, but it wasn't working. Now, I called Tom Spicer, my good neighbor over the hill, Tom and Gretchen. Tom came right over, he had a meal, and he said, well, you gotta go up to the free clinic. So Tom took me up there, and of course I had the CD disc, and he could tell, the doctors could tell that it was pneumonia. And of course, Dr. Aaron Dunn said, well, you got the wrong antibiotic. You got to do this antibiotic. So of course, I go in the room and the nurse comes in with this large needle, maybe two of them. I know I got one in this one and I might have got one here. But then that night, it all broke open. I sweated like you wouldn't believe. The bed was wringing wet and it finally turned. So that was the saving grace of the free clinic. Now I went to the hospital and of course I got charged about $5,000. There was other things that they did for me, but the free clinic is what saved my life.
I can think of countless diabetics who come in with their sugars double, triple what they should be. One of them hardly has any eyesight left because his diabetes is so bad, and the guy's, he's under 45 years old. People that are having chronic problems with their feet and hands. People that have just, had trouble with their weight and having trouble with their knees, and just kind of lost a sense of their own health, because they've lost connection with a medical home, and it's really been nice to see them get turned around, get their sugars back down in normal range, have them get that 30, 50-pound weight loss. Their vision stabilizes, their feet and hands start to feel better. And I know that as long as we can keep them under control, that they're going to be out of the hospital. They're going to stay away from the ER, and they're not going to have that heart attack, that stroke, that kidney failure for way many more years. And it's really, those are the people that make it all worthwhile, because you know that you're their lifeboat for a while, and so there's lots of stories like that.
Estamos porque la comunidad entera estamos muy contentos de que hay personas voluntarias que nos ayudan y pues estamos muy contentas con ese apoyo que nos están dando.
It's the whole community that feels really happy about this, because there are volunteers who we've gotten to know who help us with our English, and it's been really good for the community. every single one of the patients that I interpreted for who came through social care, I think almost everyone would say, I want to learn more English.
And about 17% of our patients are Hispanic, many not speaking English even, which is why we have to have an interpreter here every night.
The clinic is one of the sponsors of a program that is touching many, many lives in this community. We have, I think, right now about 30 tutors and about 30 students, and we're always developing waiting lists. And it's not only a means for teaching English to those who wish to learn more English, it's a way of creating more community. It's interesting too, you know, you meet people who are patients at the clinic because their circumstances have changed, because suddenly they've lost their jobs or they've lost their health insurance, and it's there for everybody. You never know when your circumstances are going to change.
We're making plans to have more of a solid presence in the community, have more of a continued presence, continued relationship with our patients so that we can be there on a more day-to-day basis.
It would be great to be able to do a little bit more follow-up care, make things move a little bit more smoothly from intake through discharge, and just let our clients know that we appreciate them, and we all know somebody who doesn't have access to health care, and we want them to have quality health care.
We're hoping we can do more patient education. We're going to have, our clinic is going to be more available to us soon because of Access Dental moving into their own space.
They're going to move out of their current dental space, so we'll have a chance to use some of that space for a counselor, maybe a space for some telemedicine with some specialists or with a psychiatrist, something like that. We're going to be partnering with the Reproductive Health Clinic to make the space work for both of our agencies. So we're really excited. It's going to be a win-win for the dental clinic and for us. We are planning to be around, and we are making plans to deal with our situation of being at max capacity. And so we're going to need money. We're going to need volunteers. And we're gonna need a commitment from the community, you know, for the next few years, at least. So that's our plan for now.
Bueno, pues, ¿qué les podría decir yo personalmente? Es que, pues, darle las gracias por ese apoyo tan grande y que a los que aportan dinero, a las personas voluntarias, que muchísimas gracias, que Dios los bendiga y muchas gracias.
She said that the message really is one of gratitude for everyone who gives of their time, the volunteers in the clinic, those who donate. This is a great blessing, and she says, God bless you and thank you.